place I play from.
Yeah.
So I don't like it.
All right, first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody that came out to this. This is really awesome. I had like over probably 60 people between Facebook, Messenger, my direct phone number that had reached out about this clinic idea. And I know how that works. I thought maybe only 10 people would show up. So I appreciate you guys all showing up. It looks like we got close to 30 people, so that's really awesome. Secondly, Cynthia over here, I was gonna have her say something really quick. I'll just let her talk for a second.
One of the things, my name is Cynthia Duval. I'm the president of Preserve Burnett Woods. And Burnett Woods has a 9-hole disc golf course on it, which is a little run down. And we're working really hard trying to get that course improved, get the tees redone, and get the other 9 holes that have been planned for the last 10 years put in. I know Adam at Disc Natty's done a lot of work on that. In order to drive interest to get this done, we are running a contest right now. And it's got a couple different components. The first of which is if you just go play the course or part of the course, and there's some hashtags on our website, Preserve Burnett Woods. Just put up a photo that you played the course. That's an entry for the day. And if you get a hole-in-one or a trick shot, like the hole-in-one is an ace. You got to make the basket. But the trick shot is just something fun along the way that you do different. Get a shot of that. Put it on Instagram or Facebook and tag us, and that'll be an entry into a drawing for a Halo TL3, which is about a $25 disc in there. It's a really nice disc. Adam helped me pick it out. But we've got these contests going on trying to drive interest in the park, and we really love to see you out there. And as an added feature to that, Sean agreed to come out and do another clinic there Wednesday night. So anybody that comes to that clinic will also get an entry into the general category, which is a bag and 3 discs. Get your ace or something fun on film, post it. That's the intro into the Halo. You can have 2 entries per day. And then just because I'm a litter fanatic, if you pick up litter, that's the 3rd entry into the general. So
Awesome.
that's what we got going on. Hope to see you out there.
Thank you.
All right. So my name's Sean Tieman. I've been playing disc golf probably since I was 6 years old. My father's over there. He actually, when my mom and dad split up, that was our pastime every Tuesday. We played every Tuesday, Woodland Mound. And I turned pro when I was 16. I played professional disc golf now for 16 years. It's literally like my favorite pastime. I'm somebody that actually struggles with mental illness. I'm manic depressive, so this is like my safe haven. You know, I get all my energy out here. I mean, my coping skill, it's exercise, and it's wonderful. I've met tons of people through disc golf. One of them, David Cox over here, who happens to be a 2-time world putting champion. He's 52 and he still whoops me 24/7, and I'm the one that's giving the clinic, which is really awesome. You guys will notice, like all of us are different ages. We got boys, we got girls here, we have adults. Some of us are left-handed, forehanded, and we all do stuff a little bit different. Some of us have better arm speed. Some of us have better disc control, or we're stronger, we're skinnier and lengthier. But I'm going to teach you guys the fundamentals of the X step, how to throw a forehand, backhand. We'll talk about putting a little bit, and then every question you guys have, I will ask. If you guys want me to demonstrate something, or you literally want to come stand over here with a disc in your hand to help you, I will. So I'm going to start out with grip first. I think this is the most important part. Everybody that starts beginning, they pick up a disc and they naturally want to put their index finger on the edge. The very first thing that was ever taught to me by a professional disc golfer was to get that off. So I take the crease of my very first line over here on my index finger and I put it on the bead of the disc. If it doesn't, it's just the flat spot that's right there. And then I pinch the rest of my fingers here. There are 2 types of grips. You can be more spread out. It's called a fan grip. It's more for like finesse shots, control shots. And there's power grip, where you can actually kind of really grip down on the disc. I do a modified grip. I do the exact same grip all the time. I think it's ridiculous to be like, hey, did you fan grip this one or did you power grip it? It's too much, So I just kind of spread my fingers a little bit more than most players do. I don't power grip everything, and I just kind of keep it base on there. And the disc I have kind of comes on right here on my palm when I'm holding it.
Why don't you show everybody where your grip is?
Yeah, so my grip, I kind of have these 3 fingers kind of cupped against the rim, and then I have this line right here on the bead of the disc. And then I make sure that it's against my palm here. And whatever is comfortable for you, though, is the key. So like, yeah, for you right there, get that line right there on things that are touching the disc when you're trying to release it allows for more spin. If that index finger is there, when you guys release it, that's going to be the last thing touching it. It's one more component that's going to slow the disc. So that's the first basic. All right, so that's for gripping. Forehand grip, it's pretty simple. You can do, a lot of people, I do 2 fingers right here. There's also what they call like a stack, you know, where they've got 1 finger up here. That's another thing that's really comfortable. The only thing I can tell you guys is when I grip this, I grip them hard. I don't have it barely in my hand. You know, the best way to show is I'll have you hold your disc. I'll tell them to grip it really hard. If I can smack the disc out of your hand, you're not gripping it hard. You need that disc firmly in your hand. I mean, like with any sport, you don't barely hold a baseball to throw it. Same thing with a football. You have a good controlled grip on it to throw. So that's pretty much all I will talk about on the grip. I'm going to go right into what is known as the X step. Has everybody heard of the X step so far? And a lot of confusion with the X step is people are always saying you got to come across your chest. And everybody's so focused on coming across your chest. I can't tell you if I've ever thrown a shot where I actually focus on coming across where my chest is. You want it to come across your body, your midsection, whether you're throwing an anhyzer up here, whether you're throwing a flat shot through here, or whether you're throwing a hyzer around. So it's not literally meaning like every shot needs to come here. I mean, notice how I'm doing it's kind of tucking me in. So that's one of the main things when you're throwing. So for where your guys' point of view, when I'm standing on my target, you know, I'm facing that way, there's the basket ahead of me. I get myself first comfortable on the tee. I don't just jump on it and just take off. I try to take a deep breath, and I'm lining myself up. You know, some people you'll see they'll get their feet going to get them going, or taking a couple breaths, they'll clean the tee pad. That is just you having a routine to kind of remember and focus in on that moment and not think about the bogey you just took on the last. So it's the truth though. Because I'm known that when I have a bad hole, I go real quick, you know, like thinking like that's gonna help me, and it never does. So the X step, the most important part of the X step, when you come through, it's just right foot, left foot, right foot. And when people practice this, they're so worried about doing that X step that I look like a robot trying to do that, right? I'm so worried of, like it's like, how could I ever generate any power like that? Now you've taken away like your legs, your hips, and everything. So you got to get a little more knee bend. You got to be more athletic about it. And for the younger folks, you got to get a little swag about it. Like you got to make it cool. Like if you were playing basketball or football or baseball, like Tiger Woods in golf, you know? So I'll do a fast one for you. So I'm getting myself lined up. And then I hop through every time. The follow through that you guys just saw me hit. So here, when I hit, I am putting so much tension on this foot. I'm not just falling through like I'm just sliding on skates. I am hitting hard. There's a reason why I have to replace these shoes every 3 months, because I am bearing down. This is where I'm getting all my power, and I'm hitting, and then I'm twisting all the way through. And the reason that you need to do that is because your left arm, surprisingly, even if you're right-handed, is just as important as your right hand when you're throwing a disc. If I were to say keep my left arm tucked, and I came through, notice how my body is like already leaning myself to follow through and finish left. If I make sure my left hands are parked, so you've probably heard people say like, you know, don't keep your left hand on the disc. You know, you need to reach back. That's fine. They're right. But it's good to start with both your hands on there to kind of give yourself that body frame. You know, like I'm framing my whole body up here, and I'm getting myself ready. And when I come through, my left hand comes off, my right hand comes back, and then I turn through, and my left arm will always rotate, but my left foot will always finish in front of my right foot. When you're playing disc golf, and you're having one of your best rounds ever, and you get up and you throw a drive, and you just shank it so hard right, you have no idea how that happened. I promise you, if you have a buddy or a friend with you, and be like, pay attention to my steps, I guarantee that the last step you took will dictate where your disc went. So if you're trying to finish a shot out to the left, then that last step better be out to the left. If you're trying to finish something that's finishing right up in the middle, then you better finish right in the middle of the tee pad. Same thing with the right. My dad, when I was a little kid, once I learned power, it was a nightmare because I had no control. I would throw a shot and it would magically go in the woods and you'd think it hit a tree and it'd just go forever, endeavor, and get deeper and deeper in. And it was horrible. It was a lesson that I had to learn how to find discs because I was losing them left and right. And my dad called it my happy foot. He's like, you gotta get that happy foot line. He's like, you finished right here. So if my finishing throw's here, my left foot's here, it's like, where's that disc gonna go? So breaking your steps downs and worrying about where you finish is important. And if you come through and just hit here and throw and don't follow through with that left leg, you have no idea where that disc is ever gonna go. Sometimes it'll come out straight and perfect and then you'll form this terrible habit. Sometimes it'll be early left, or you'll feel that you're gonna release it left and then you'll yank it over right at the last second. So after I just kind of broke all that down, does anybody have questions? Any like things that you've done before and you have questions that you want to ask? Footwork?
What helps you keep when you're coming back through, what helps you land? Because I'm usually pretty straight versus being staggered. What helps you do that? Like,
you talking about my
shorter steps?
Yes, shorter steps are huge. Me and Nick, we just played a league today at Ottawa that was rated, and the whole round he couldn't figure out. He had all these crisp shots coming out, but they weren't accurate. He couldn't figure out why he was right or left, and then he just had said something to me. He's like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, but I think I'm taking too big of steps. The moment that's happening to you, if this is the tee pad, you don't have to use all the tee pad. For years, if this is in a tee pad, I will take 3 steps up and I will start right here. You can generate the same amount of power. So like you're saying, like, how do you control it? Well, if I'm going like this in big steps, it's a lot harder, especially when you add the speed. But if I'm taking short, compact steps, I can make sure I always finish right there in that spot. But those longer, bigger steps, that's where you'll see that variance of where your drives go. And that's why you'll see like James Conrad, if you guys have heard of him, he's really good. And he'll use all the tee pad. He's only doing that on holes that are wide open because his accuracy doesn't have to be dead straight. He can have that left or right variance. So I'm gonna throw a couple shots into the net for you guys.
I got a question about that.
Sure.
If you're throwing to the right or to the left or straight, do you walk towards it?
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
go just straight down the tee pad all the time?
Yeah, exactly.
So you
I would
walk either right or left and diagonally on it?
exactly. So say if I need to throw a shot right, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for me just to finish to the middle and then have to play catch up at the end and book it out to the right. I'll work my angle like you're talking about, and if I need to throw right, I'll start on this left side of the tee pad and I'll angle myself that way. You know, now all of a sudden I just opened up my angle and I'm going lined up the right way. You'll hear in golf, those like Tiger Woods will talk about when he's teeing off a shot. If he doesn't want to hit a shot to the early right or something, you know, he'll line himself up on that way because he's going to hit that cut shot so that way he hits away from the trouble and let the disc turn. Because if you notice a lot, you guys have all played now, you don't consistently throw just dead straight shots. You're throwing hyzers, you're throwing anhyzers, you're throwing discs that start out like this and then flip up because they're turning. The dead straight shot's probably the hardest shot to consistently replicate over and over and over again. And in golf, you don't see golfers hit dead straight shots. They're hitting, you know, the fades, they're hitting the draws, and they're doing that for your consistency of trying to land near the basket. If I was consistently saying like, okay, 100% throw dead straight at this basket, if I'm off just a little bit with 100%, I'm gone past it. But if I decide, hey, I'm actually gonna attack that basket with a little bit of hyzer angle, now if I hit it with 100% when it's coming in, I'm more likely to finish 15 to 20 feet around it versus going 40 feet past it. You know, and that's something we'll talk about in putting with having a hyzer putting style for that same reason. But I'll throw, this is just my putter. I'll throw a shot over here in the net for you guys. And I'll throw it 100% too here for you. And if you notice, you know, when I hit right there at the last second, my body came through it. I hit middle, but I came up. And if you like actually can listen and kind of feel or have someone see your body, your body will dictate where the disc goes. The best thing you can do is get a playing partner and have him watch you play. And when you come through, because right there, I could feel it. I knew right away. I was trying to throw that dead straight. The last second I came up and I hit the right side of the net. So I'll throw another one. I'll try to do the same shot, but I'm trying to just hit the middle of the net. And that was a lot more accurate, and I was more on point with it. So we went over X step. What are other questions, like people thinking about generating power? Like you were talking to me beforehand.
Yeah.
You said that no matter what disc you have in your hand, it goes the same distance.
I throw every disc 200 feet.
And that shouldn't happen, you know, because there's discs that literally can go 600 feet, like a driver, you know, and your putter should be in that range of 200 feet.
Yeah. So I throw my putter and, I finger assess my fairway.
Okay, so the Avenger SS is when a disc crafts disc in their lineup, it's known as a very flippy disc for a right-hander. It's supposed to turn over, and the best player in the world uses this backhand roller because it's going to turn hard. When you're throwing it, what's happening?
It hyzers.
It just hyzers out left.
Yeah. So I was told to get this to have a slow arm speed.
Yeah.
So I'll throw.
I can
watch it. I've thrown this up to.
You can come over here and throw it.
I've thrown this up to what I think 268 that one time.
I don't remember.
268 is my longest shot I've ever thrown.
Yeah, go ahead and do your normal form.
Well, I just now learned how to grip this, so who knows where this is going to go.
Okay. So a lot of it too is, so you came back through.
Yeah.
That was great. Your X step looked great. But at the last second, instead of keeping your level playing field when you're coming through, you dipped.
Okay.
You dipped. The biggest problem, do you mind if I grab your disc?
Please do.
The biggest problem when players are coming through is a lot of players that just start out throw shots that go straight up in the air.
Yeah.
And they're like, how do I stop it from getting the height? Well, it's simple. If you're coming through and my body is leaning upward like this, you're like a pendulum. Your body's gonna go straight up.
Yeah.
So, quick fix, kind of turn the other way. Face a little bit shoulder down, and then when you come through, look at your angle, and it's already coming through there like that. Here, try again.
So shoulder down.
Yeah. Don't be dramatic about it. You know, just kind of focus on throwing down on the disc.
And I try to do it with my hands, but my hand angle gets bad.
You got that tight? Okay. So you learned how to throw it lower. Another thing too is you're afraid to not throw really hard right now because you don't know where the disc is going to go,
No
right?
fucking clue.
Okay. So just like in golf when you're first starting, they're like, hey, be really, really smooth. Do not throw hard. Well, the problem with that logic is we're throwing like grams. Like you can hold this with one finger. You have to throw these things hard. You have to put some type of power or inertia on it. So I'll do your same throw, and I'm gonna throw this thing pretty much as hard as I can.
Okay.
You know, and my dad over there, if he says a word, Dad, if he says something, he'll tell you, from a young start, I threw disc as hard as I possibly could.
Okay.
And then I kind of try to tune it down as I got older.
You can even start to see it flip up.
Yeah, exactly. So just actually think about it like, if you're gonna only throw it as soft as you are, it can't generate that power. You know, you have to throw it hard. This disc should always flip over on it.
Okay.
A man with your size, your height, you know, your build, you should be crushing that thing, and it's gonna be like, dude, this is the flippiest piece of crap I've ever read.
Watch his follow through, Sean. He doesn't come off his back foot.
I don't follow through at all, do I?
Well, that time he did.
That was way better. It's all right. We will find
I
it.
have my name on it.
No, that was way better. hey, that was way better.
Yeah, I got that from Paige, so
So,
when she was here.
but on that time, and like Nick said, you don't come off your back foot.
Yep.
You know, Dave noticed it with one of my good friends yesterday. He comes through, and then he stops, but then he just stops right here.
Yeah.
That left foot has to come off the ground and get that full rotation. Here, because you just threw yours in the woods. I'll let you throw my Avenger SS. You throw in the woods, I don't care either.
So really go through and so
Yeah.
weird.
Perfect.
Just like that.
And throw it hard.
And smaller steps are good too. You don't have to have big steps. Yeah, like that. Well, that time you didn't do the X step,
I didn't.
but you kept it low and flat. I mean, the X step is important because it allows you to get your hips engaged and then turn away.
Yeah.
Like, if I threw the shot you threw, and I've played forever now, you know, I can throw this thing pretty much any way I want to, so I'll just do what you did, the hop step. I can still generate the power.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best players in the world for like, I don't know how long. He's like 10-20 rated. His name's Mike something. He's like a Masters player. I can't think of what his name is, but he's on tour. He does a hop step. He does a, and then fires through, but he still finishes.
Okay.
He still really finishes. So with your arm, I notice, you're coming through and you're focusing. Create a frame.
Okay.
You're creating a frame, so that way it's almost like you're making yourself rotate. You're not gonna like this analogy, but dancers, ballroom,
Yeah.
they need that frame. It's just as important when you're coming through. If you just got some loose arm coming through, you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Make sure you face this way.
Does anybody else have a question about that? I want to come stand up here for a second.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Talk about where your toe points when you're finished. Crazy.
Why don't you do it?
So guys, one thing, and I just noticed it with him,
Hold on to this.
is when you're coming through on the tee pad, one way to cheat, obviously the way you generate any power is with your hips, right? You load back with your hips, and you're finishing right here, your maximum reach back. Your toe should be planted, your heel should be off the ground, and you should be at a full reach back. As you drop your heel, that starts activating everything. But you notice my toe isn't open, my foot's not open, my foot's closed to my target. That's gonna help me generate a little bit more power out of my hips. And as I come through, I can finish a little bit more snap on my throw. If you come through and you have your foot open to your target, I've already lost a lot of the power. So now I'm gonna, and then I'm also, like Sean was talking about, my foot, my happy foot, has opened up my shot, and I'm probably gonna yank it right? So make sure when you're coming through and you hit that last step, your toe is closed to the target. So it definitely doesn't want to be open. Your heel should be almost pointing, not to your target, but the side of your foot should be facing the target. So you always want to make sure you brace on that closed toe.
The best way to practice that, to get to that spot that he's talking about, the whole point of also the X step, the run up, is to gain momentum to get to that last spot. Dave is probably the best player in our area with standstills and one step. So it's really unfortunate that the net's over on that side. All right, so basically, you'll see Mr. Dave Cox on a 280-foot hole. He'll get up there, and I'll do my walk up soft and throw my shot, which I'm bringing a lot more moving parts in, so then I could lose my accuracy. He'll, yet again, sorry Dave, he's 52. He just stands still, no problems or questions, and he focuses, and then turns away, and then comes right through, no problem. But he's still finishing with your foot's planted, you're coming through, and his leg's coming through all the way and finishing. I mean, your left arm is almost like you're bracing yourself like for someone coming at you and you got your arm up. That's so important. You'll see guys that figure out power in the steps and then they've got this dead arm. And it looks so awkward and weird. I know you guys all know somebody who does that. It's just so uncomfortable. I don't know how that either someone didn't pick it up or they don't realize they're doing it. You play basketball, left hand, just as important. Football, both hands are on it, and then you release, the left foot's leading. Tennis, you'll see Roger Federer hitting a forehand. His hand's in front, leading the way. So you have to engage this hand. It doesn't, I don't want you guys doing this all of a sudden. I see you guys all on the course and you guys are doing this. Please don't do that. But starting out to get to that X step, the X step seems weird because people think they need to do this and then come through, but it's really way quicker than that. It's really just one in front of the other. It's just boom, boom, boom. But I'm just turning away to gain that distance. It's a really weird concept to tell you, hey, focus on your target, but after you get all this momentum, you're about to throw as hard as you can, look away last second, and then throw. That's the only way you can generate the power you need. I think, what do you think? Up to 80 feet is probably the last time I stare at a target. And outside of 80 feet, I have to look away for my distance. 80 feet is about the last time I can stand still and throw a shot up to a basket. And then after that, I look away. Do we need to cover anything on the backhand? But yeah, start out, guys. Go to into your tee pad. Start on the left corner of the tee pad, the very front, just so I can get you guys to practice one step coming through, and then your rotation's going over the grass or area that's not the tee pad and finishing in front of you. That'll generate it. And then once you start feeling more comfortable, it's just X step is this right here. That's all it is. It's not some drawn out plan that's just so crazy. I don't get it, but that's not what it is. It's just really tight steps. But yeah, practice. I'll do a I'll do a one-step throw and then I'll do a standstill throw. Still kind of coming through. Notice my left foot didn't come all the way through, so my accuracy was a little bit off. And this time I'll make sure my left foot comes through. It's just, that's all it is. That's the part you're trying to build your momentum to it. If you guys can figure out how to get to that spot without X-stepping, you know, Josh Anton, one of the great disc golfers of all time, he don't X-step. He's twinkle toeing, and he's like this, and then he's just crushing. And he is, what, 1040 rated? He's unbelievable. But like you guys said, some of us don't have the same arm speed, some of us don't have the same strength, but you can learn how to manipulate a disc. Like, if I see a shot that's 400 feet, I'm thinking I can throw a big hyzer forehand and get there, or a big hyzer force, real overstable disc and get there. Dave sees a shot that's 400 feet and he's thinking, A, I need to either ante a shot there, or I need to throw something flippy, like that Avenger SS, on a hyzer and then let it flip up by itself. It's called hyzer flip up to get that disc. I mean, Michael Johansson, who's a Masters player, or he's at the age now he can play Masters, 40, maybe 135 pounds soaking wet, and he's unbelievable Woodmaster guy. And he takes a really flippy crank, and he's able to trust it on that hyzer and get the flip up in distance so he can compete with these younger guys that are throwing, you know, 75-mile-per-hour shots with overstable distance trusting. So there's no wrong way to do anything. As long as you learn the X-step, you have the grip, and then after that, you find the discs that work to your strengths. So someone told you your arm speed's slow. It doesn't mean it's slower forever.
Yeah.
They didn't just look at you and say, hey, you have slow arm speed forever.
Yeah.
That's not a thing. That just means right now you have not trusted yourself enough to come through and whip. You know, when I start out, my very first hole, a lot of it's about nerves in tournaments, but I'll go up to the end of the tee pad and I'll be doing this, but I'm just telling myself to follow through and kind of activate myself. You know, so that's pretty much all of that. Anybody have a question on backhand or anything else?
I don't know terms. Is this beforehand?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting ready to talk about now.
Okay.
You guys ready for the forehand? I know a lot of people really want to learn about forehands. All right. So, forehands are awesome. You don't have to look away from your target. They're like the greatest saving grace for woods golf, because when you're playing tournaments or you're playing courses where the gap is 50 feet in front of you and it's only 20 feet wide, and it's calling, say, for a backhand, and you have to look away for that last second, and you don't have the confidence, and all of a sudden you hit a tree and you just totally ruined yourself and you're going to play bogeys in play. Forehand, I get to stare at the target, I never look away from it, and then I can just whip right through that area. I mean, a forehand is unbelievable. For a righty, a forehand is being like a lefty. So all those shots that like to go straight and bend to the right, you get to throw a forehand. Same thing if you're a lefty. If you're a lefty, when you get to throw a forehand, now you get to throw a righty, which in Ohio, what, 80% of the courses are right-handed dominant, you'd say? So forehands are a lot easier. Beginners seem to pick up forehands a lot easier. For any level, honestly. Dave's been a master of anhyzers, putters, mid-rangers, drivers his whole life. And what, Dave, in the last year or two, you just started doing forehands?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all of a sudden he's like, this is really easy. I love this. And Dave is a little more conventional. He doesn't walk into it. He just takes a one step and throws his little hyzer. The forehand, same thing. Your grip needs to be tight all the way up on it. When you're coming through on your forehand, the biggest thing you'll hear people talk about, and it's the most important, elbow in. Now, elbow in means a lot of things. It does not mean I want you to throw a forehand like this, like you're T-Rex in it, okay? It just means that when you're coming through, your elbow needs to be leading the way. Elbow comes through, and then the rest of your body. That's all that elbow in means for it. Nick, I met him when I was like 11 years old, and he played disc golf with me and my dad a few times, but he learned how to forehand instantly, and that's been his go-to shot. He loves it. Show him your forehand real quick for him so they can see it. It's going to look pretty similar to mine. He does something a little bit different, but
I just try to think of I do the same grip. I do that two fingers right against the rim, and then my thumbs pinch down on top of it. And I try to think of my arm as one big link, and it's just like Sean was talking a little before everybody got here, but it's a lot like golf where you're trying to create that lag. So my disc is the last thing to come through. It's the elbow first, then my arm, and then my wrist, that last little bit, that last little snap that you see. So when I start my throw, my wrist is already cocked back. I don't want to cock it. I don't want to keep my wrist straight and locked, and in the very last second try to cock it. I want to get it cocked nice and early, have it back, come through, and I just try to keep my palm up. So you don't want to throw, like most like sports, when you throw, you roll your wrist. You bring your wrist over, you throw a baseball or a football like Sean's saying, you roll your wrist over. With a forehand, you really don't want to do that. You